Hi, my name is Ashton Kimbrough, and I am a first grade teacher at Mayville Elementary. My character education principle is accepting. The definition is being open, welcoming, and loving to others at all times. Acceptance is being kind to everyone you meet, no matter what differences or unique qualities others may have. The book chosen for this character education principle is This Is Our House by Michael Rosen. This Is Our House is a sweet story about acceptance. It is about a boy who does not accept everyone to come into his house. The other children around him all want to come in and play, but he will not allow them to because he said it is all for himself. He judges the children based on whether they are male or female, short or tall, twins, wear glasses, etc. When George left the house for a minute, the children took over the house. George wanted to come in at the end of the story, and they all accepted him. This story shows that no matter how someone may look or act, we should accept them with their unique characteristics and attributes. For the activity for this story, I chose Geometry SOL 1.12. In this SOL, the student will identify and trace, describe, and sort plain geometric figures. Examples are triangles, squares, rectangles, and circles, and explain the reasonableness of each choice. For this activity, students will individually create their own house using various geometric shape cutouts on their desk. When creating their house, students must label each shape that is included in their house. The students can use their creativity to color and create their own houses. The scripture for this activity will be Romans 15:7. Therefore, accept each other just as Christ has accepted you, so that God will be given glory.
Hello, my name is Mr. Stinson, and I am a first grade teacher at Mayville Elementary School. The character principle that I chose is boldness. Being bold means showing the ability to take risks and act courageously in frightening situations. The book that I have chosen to demonstrate this character principle is The Lion King. In this familiar Disney story, examples of boldness are displayed clearly throughout the entirety of the book. Mufasa, Simba's father, displays the first courageous act by rushing into the heart of a stampede in an attempt to rescue his son. Mufasa succeeds in saving his son's life, but he was not as fortunate to save his own. Later on, towards the end of the story, Simba is now an adult and displays another major act of boldness by returning to his homeland to rescue his family and friends from Scar and his minions. By reading this action-packed story, students will experience practical examples of boldness and learn that being bold is not always easy and that it takes strength to stand up against others. In order to incorporate science into this book, I have chosen Science SOL 1.5. The student will investigate and understand that animals, including humans, have basic needs and certain distinguishing characteristics. Basic needs include adequate air, food, water, shelter, and space. After reading the story as a class, each student will choose a main character from the story to illustrate. The students will have to illustrate their chosen character as well as other characteristics of the animal, such as the animal's preferred shelter, main source of food, and the animal's typical surroundings. The students will complete this activity individually on small white poster paper by using crayons and colored pencil. The scripture I have chosen for this activity is Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek.
My name is Miss Taylor Huffman, and I am a second grade teacher at Mayville Elementary School. My character education principle is teamwork. We define teamwork as an effective and efficient way to complete a task. The book I chose to reflect and represent teamwork is The Enormous Potato by Aubrey Davis. This book sets the perfect example of importance of teamwork. This story is about a farmer who plants an enormous potato. When it comes time to harvest the crops, the farmer realizes he cannot pull the potato from the ground all by himself. The farmer has a choice to make. The farmer could give up and lose his luscious crop, or he could ask for help. In the end, the farmer realizes it will take the strength of all of them to pull the potato from the ground. This story demonstrates that sometimes you cannot do things alone and need help from others. The activity I chose to go along with this book integrates English SOL 2.1a. In the second grade group activity, students will split into groups after reading this story. Each group will be asked to come up with their own story that demonstrates teamwork and be prepared to share it with the rest of the class. The scripture verse that correlates with teamwork that I chose is Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, one will lift up his companion, but woe to the one who falls when there is not another to lift him up.
Hello, my name is Miss Deal and I'm a second grade teacher here at Mayville Elementary. My character education principle is compassion. Compassion is understanding the suffering of another person and wanting to do something about it. The book I chose is called Bear Feels Sick by Karma Wilson. This book is a great example of having compassion. Bear feels sick and his friends have compassion on him and take care of him. Every kid knows what it feels like to be sick. They know how grateful they are when their parents or siblings take care of them. However, there's a twist at the end of this book that teaches kids how they can have compassion as well. My activity goes along with Science SOL 2.5b. In this activity, students will study the behaviors and habits of bears and compare them to the bear in the story. They will work in groups to create a chart that compares and contrasts the bear in the story and bears in real life. Students will discover what food bears eat, what type of habitat bears live in, what bears do in the autumn, and much more. The scripture that goes along with my character education principle is Matthew 7:12. Do unto others what you would like them to do to you. This is the essence of all that is taught in the law and the prophets.
My name is Miss Nana, and I'm a teacher here at Mayville Elementary School. The character education principle that I will be teaching is kindness. The book that I chose to use to teach kindness is called Kindness is Cooler, Miss Ruler. Miss Ruler has a kindergarten class. Her students have been misbehaving because they have been cooped up inside because it has been raining every day during recess. 3 students in her class have been particularly misbehaving. However, one day she asked them to stay in for recess because she has a secret plan. Her plan is to teach them a new golden rule. This golden rule is kindness is cool. Soon the whole class is showing kindness everywhere. They are cleaning the dinner table at home and they are helping each other out with their schoolwork. Throughout the whole story, the acts of kindness that the students do add up to be 100 different acts. The Bible verse that I chose to go along with this principle is Proverbs 3:3, which states, "Never let loyalty and kindness leave you. Tie them around your neck as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart." In order to incorporate math with this book, I chose SOL 3.5. After the students have read Kindness is Cooler, Miss Ruler, they can think of kind acts that they can do around the house, and the teacher can make a list of these acts. Once they have the list, she will give them different math problems, such as I want you to do 3 acts of kindness for 5 days. Then the students will have to figure out how many acts of kindness that is. So they will have to know 3 times 5 equals 15. Once the students have figured out the acts, the students will have to keep track of these acts as they do them for that week.
My name is Miss Pearson and I'm a 3rd grade teacher here at Mayville Elementary School. My character education principle is self-control, and self-control is defined as restraint exercised over one's own impulses, emotions, or desires, and the ability to control one's behavior. The book that I've chosen to teach this principle is Clark the Shark. Clark the Shark is about a shark named Clark who is very loud and enthusiastic. Clark goes to school at Theodore Roosterfish Elementary School and his teacher is Mrs. Inky Dink. He loves going to school, but most of the time Clark was either too loud, played too rough during recess, or interrupted his classmates. Eventually, none of his friends wanted to play with him because of how he was acting. After that, Clark began to change the way he acts, and he tried to be a better friend. This book could be used to teach self-control to children by showing them examples of how Clark the shark did not practice self-control. They could then look at how Clark changed his behavior once he realized he needed to change. The activity for this book is using Science SOL 3.6. The student will investigate and understand that ecosystems support a diversity of plants and animals that share limited resources, specifically aquatic ecosystems. Students will draw a food chain of an aquatic ecosystem and include the animals and plants that live in that ecosystem. They will learn what different animals eat to survive and how they contribute to their ecosystem. After the students have drawn their food chain, they will share what they have learned and explain their food chain in a group with 2 other students.
The scripture used for this character principle is 1 Corinthians 9:27. But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others myself should be disqualified.
My name is Miss Knowles, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Mayville Elementary School. My character principle is motivated. Motivated means to provide someone with the drive to do something. One of the books that I chose is Friendle by Andrew Clements. Friendle is a book about a boy named Nick who likes to stir things up at his school. He and his friends establish a new word, friendle. One of his teachers, Miss Granger, is very against the spreading of this word, but her arguments fail and the word spreads nationwide. Nick ends up on national television because of his new word, and later it is added to the dictionary. Later, after college, he becomes rich because of this word. He and Miss Granger later turn out to be pals, and he finds out that she had been on his side back in the day when he was creating the word. Friendle is a fun book for students to read because it is full of imagination, discovery, and friendship. The activity that I chose for this book comes from English SOL 5.2H. It says the student will use effective verbal and nonverbal communication skills to deliver planned oral presentations. And they will incorporate visual media to support the presentation. So for this activity, students will create their own word just like Nick did in the book. The students must create a word that is appropriate and give it a definition. The students will present a short presentation to the class, sharing their word, its definition, and a visual meaning of the word by creating a PowerPoint. Scripture that I chose for this is Romans 8:28, and it reads, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose."
My name is Miss Chris, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Mayville Elementary, and my character principle is justice. Justice means the quality of being just, fair, or right. The book that I chose for my character principle is called One Hen, How One Small Loan Made a Big Difference by Katie Smith Milway. This book discusses the topic of social justice and how hard work can pay off. The book tells the story of Kojo, a boy who buys a hen after saving up his coins and taking out a small loan. When the hen lays 5 eggs, Kojo and his mother eat 2, and they sell the other 3. Through the careful management of his profits, Kojo is able to build his own egg business. Through hard work and dedication, he puts himself through college and eventually starts his own farming business that contributes to the local economy. Kojo lives on to give small loans to others so they might contribute to the economy as well. My activity that I chose aligns with the English SOL Standard 5.7C. The idea of my activity is that the students are going to create their own business that will contribute to the local community. The students will need to grasp the concept that those who do good and work hard can make a difference in their communities. The students will be put into small groups, and each group will create their own business. Each group will also create a poster with information about their small business. The information will include the name of the business, a short description of what the business is all about, as well as the explanation of how their business will help the community. Once the posters are completed, the students will present their business to the rest of the class. For my scripture for my character education principle, I chose Isaiah 1:17, and it says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, encourage the oppressed, defend the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow." Bam!